Hello everybody and welcome to a new video. My name is Midway and I hope you're having a wonderful day because I sure am. So today we're back again in x-samkok and today we're gonna be talking a little bit about officer upgrades, what you can expect about them and the different requirements that there is, and basically everything about it, how you can just make it a lot easier to upgrade the officers and what not, right? So let's just go ahead and skip this battle and get ourselves into the officer panel, and in the meantime we might as well grab whatever we just got out of that because we reached a new floor, right? So yep, that touches perfectly into the first section of this video, which is going to be the ranking pills, which is going to be a resource which early on you might not need that much of because you will be lacking a lot more of the copies of the officers, but as you are progressing into upgrading the officers, it's going to be more and more scarce. So we will talk about how you can get a lot more of those. So of course, officers, as you first get them out of the gacha, right? It's a gacha game. You go ahead, you do some hero pulls, right? You click on that, you're gonna have the animation playing. I don't really have any resources myself to do a pull. I could just show you this, for example, but yeah. Anyways, you basically just get the officers out of the gacha, and once you do so, you're gonna be able to either discard them and get resources out of them, or you're going to be able to use them for the upgrades, right? So there is going to be a mix between using certain kinds of officers as fodder, or straight up just you just use them for rank ups of other more important officers, right? Your usual lesser ranks are going to just straight up be trash that you use to upgrade other better officers, but you might as well, of course, get the officers that you want, right? So of course your officers will first of all just be your normal orange quality, and you will be thinking, well, which ones are better between all the orange or all the S's, all the S plus? There is certain ranks of just rarity even within the S plus rank, right? So for, of course, S ranks are straight up just for upgrades. They're kind of garbage, they're pretty bad, at least for now in the game. So you really just want to be focusing on the S plus officers, but even then, some of these officers, if we go to the shop, will be a little bit harder to obtain, right? So if we go to here in the shop, the item shop, which is sort of like a PT timer kind of shop, you're going to be able to see a little bit of a breakdown of what are considered to be the main officers, or the more important officers, the more powerful ones, the more rare ones, right? So it's going to be pretty easy to see simply because of the costs, right? So you will have your officers that cost 100 of these what you call these resources, the jades. They're just going to be the ones you should be trying to get because they're going to be the ones that are the more powerful. It's just more rare as well. Then you will have your a little bit lesser, although also S plus rank kind of officers, which will be a little bit easier to get. That will be more obtainable from different kinds of events. And of course, as you can see, they're obviously just cheaper in terms of straight up this resource in particular, although there will be many avenues of getting these officers, not just from the gacha. And finally, you will have your S and your A tiers, which are straight up, as I mentioned, just to upgrade other better officers, right? So that's just that out of the way. So of course you will have your desired officer as you first get it just on your regular S plus rank, right? So how do you upgrade it, right? So yeah, let's just say I wanted to upgrade this guy. Of course you will see you require extra copies of the same officer, but not always, just at some points. What you will need is other different copies of other officers, which you will usually want to be using the lower ranked version of the lesser important officers, which we already talked about, right? So you will want to be using your upgraded A tiers, which you can upgrade to be like golden or epic, whatever you want to call them, which allows them to be used as fodder in this kind of upgrades. Or you can just straight up also use your S officers. I even go to the point of using my S plus officers once I don't have enough of the ones that are straight up just S. Well, I would go and use my lesser strong S pluses, or the ones that I am excuse me, my cat wants to get out of the room, 1 second. So as I was saying, I would just go to the extents of using even S plus officers that I know I don't need, or that usually are the ones that cost 80 of those jades, as we already saw, right? So that's going to be the most basic thing. You need extra copies of the officer you want to be upgrading. You do need, like, I think it is like 3 or 4, I'm not sure, until you reach this state where you have reached a rarity kind, or a rarity point, where at least for now, you do not need any more copies of that officer, and we'll get to that point in a second. So besides the extra copies, you will also need, as we mentioned before, to use that resource which we talked about, which you can find in your bags. That is the rank pills, right? So getting this will be pretty damn hard. You're gonna be pretty hard capped on how many you can get. Of course, you will get some, and a lot of them will come from the tower that I was doing before, the Tower of Trials. There is the daily reward, which includes a lot of those ranking pills as you grow higher and higher in that tower, and you will also of course be able to get some stuff out of that when you reach certain levels in the tower, and it will also give you a lot of just the base resource when you complete a new level in the Tower of Trials. Another thing that's very important to do, and you should start doing early, is to go to the shop, the daily shop here, and buy out the ranking pills that you think that have good value. For example, these ones, you get more than 1 rank pill per gold spent. I always buy those once you get to this point where you are already overspending gold for the amount of pills you're getting. Depending if I need an upgrade that's going to be coming very handy, well, I might as well go ahead and buy that one. But usually I wouldn't recommend doing so because it's pretty bad value. What I do is set up my auto buy here and just get pretty much every single one of these cases, again, where the value for your gold is positive here when getting the ranking pills. I just set up the auto value and just refresh this. In this case, I just did it for an example. But yeah, I would usually just use my free refreshes, as I can use that to get a lot of those ranking pills, and in turn just be able to afford more officer upgrades, right? Because that's going to be your main resource, which will be eventually lacking once you get to the point where you have a lot of just officers in general, a lot of copies of them. The main issue is going to be to upgrade your lower tier officers, right? And that's another thing that we have to talk about, and that is that your fodder officers are the ones you use to upgrade your main officers. You're gonna need to upgrade them as well to the certain rarity, and over time that's going to be increasing to the point where you're gonna be requiring very high tier officers. For example, here, once you get to this point, we'll just talk about it, might as well. You stop requiring more copies of that officer. For example, once you get to this rarity, I don't know what it's called, but you know, it's the little crown. Instead, what you're going to be needing is extra copies of a certain rarity of those officers, or rather any other officer in general, for maybe restricted to that type of faction, or even in this case any faction. But nonetheless, you will need copies of those, which in this case is a 10-star officer, right? So only to get to a 10-star officer, it's going to be very expensive. You're going to need a lot of copies of officers, which you will need to feed into that one in particular, as well as a lot of the ranking pills, right? So you will need a lot of both of those resources. And you will straight up just need to amass a lot of them. But yeah, eventually, simply the cost of upgrading the fodder officers, I already mentioned, is going to amount to just a whole damn lot. Even though you might have a lot of gacha pulls and enough of the copies of the officers, you will still usually need more of the ranking pills. And that's the situation that I've been finding myself in here, right? So that was pretty much the last thing that I could talk about, because I've just got myself to this point, is once you do upgrade your officer past this point where you got those little stars, at this point you still need one last copy. I think that's again the 4th or the 5th in total copy of the same kind of officer. Maybe it's even 6, I'm not too sure. But in any case, at this point, it's the last time for now that you need an extra copy of that same officer. From there on, instead of requiring that copy as well as the fodder officers, you will straight up just need just fodder officers of a different rarity. For example, I can show you here. You will need one 6-star, it's going to be another 6-star, an 8-star, and a 10-star, as well as the ranking pills, right? So that's the whole system as pretty much up until this point. Then, as you also awaken, as it's called here, once you fill all those 4 requirements, you are going to be awakening. Maybe some of those awakening steps will require some more of the copies of that same officer. I'm not too sure. I'm assuming it will, but for now we don't need more copies of it. In any case, that's going to be activating this whole potential system, which I am yet to experience. But that's the whole thing, really. I just wanted to talk about a little bit of the whole thing here, so you can get an idea of what you should be trying to do early on and looking forward. And here's a gacha pull just to show you, just in order to approach the officer ranking system and officer leveling system a lot better from the get-go, so you get the better experience and the most progress out of it. In any case, that's the whole thing I wanted to talk about today. Before you go, please go ahead and check out Apptoide if you haven't done so yet. Now, Apptoide is basically just like Google Play. You download apps from it, and once you do so and you play those apps in your phone, for example, or an emulator on your PC, when you download it through Aptoide and play those apps, you're going to be able to earn cashbacks that can go from extra 10% for the money you're spending all the way up to extra 35%. So let me show you, for example, if I was going to be buying this pack, I would be getting here, as you can see, an extra bonus of 30 cents, just depending on the bonus that I currently have unlocked. And that can scale up by doing things, for example, like using my code, which is going to be down there in the description, as well as down here on the screen. It's basically going to be increasing that bonus by a flat 5% forever, so you can start earning even more bonuses. I currently do not have it activated myself. But in any case, once you do have enough of those bonuses in the form of the AppCoins credits, as you can see down here, you're going to be able to choose that option that's now grayed out, which is using the AppCoins credits in order to just make the purchase for you without actually using your real money. So you're basically getting more value for your money when doing the purchases while playing the game normally, and you are then in turn going to be able to buy more stuff even with all those things you've been doing regularly. In any case, there's going to be a guide down there in the description about how to set the whole thing up. You're also going to be requiring this separate app, which is the Appcoins wallet. Here you will be able to see how much bonus you currently have unlocked, so you can see just how much you can use and spend away. You can also see your purchase history. You can also see here where you can input the promo code that I was talking about here. I have currently a different one for a different game, but you can find the promo code for x-samkok that I have active right now down here in the description, as well as in the screen, as I mentioned. You just input it there, and that's going to be unlocking that extra 5% bonus forever. As well as here you can see a little bit of a roadmap, as well as how much bonus you currently have unlocked, so you know how much more you need to be spending in order to unlock higher bonuses. And eventually also here there's going to be the active events going on within the Appcoins wallet, which are going to be increasing the bonuses you get in those games, in particular for 5 all the way up to 10% for a limited time. So when you make purchases in those games for that time, you're going to be able to get an even bigger bonus. So that's the whole thing about Apptoide. It's pretty damn simple to set up, takes no more than 5 minutes. You're going to be able to find the guide again down there in the description if you want to set it up for yourself. It only works on Android phones, as well as emulators for Android on your PC like BlueStacks, so just go ahead and check that out if you want to be using it. Unfortunately, it does not work on iPhone, right? So yeah, that's the whole thing. If you got any questions and are wanting to get into it, or got any questions about this game, let me know down there in the comment section. And in any case, if you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye, see ya.